Well, WikiTreeers, you asked for it, or maybe you didn't ask, but we're here. And Brian Nash is over there. Yeah, stop pointing at me, Greg.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's backwards, right?
Morning, everybody. I have to tell you, Sarah is off. She's getting yoga done with a llama.
No.
Wait, I said, Sarah, you realize that llamas are really, really big animals.
Yes.
And she said, yeah, I don't think she realizes that. Can you imagine a llama walking around on your back while you're trying to do yoga?
That doesn't, I can't imagine. No.
Yeah.
I've seen goat yoga.
Give Sarah a hard time for that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, crazy. That is crazy. So everybody's here. Let me switch over to my comment section. Hey, y'all. Let's see. Kathy Navas here. John Tyner. Hello, Ireland. Jennifer Searles. Brian Nash. WikiTree's here.
WikiTree's here.
Let's see.
WikiTree had some spelling issues this morning.
I was trying to type fast because we wanted to get Brian in here. Let's see. Janine. I saw Betsy Coe came in.
Yeah.
Love Betsy Coe.
Janine.
Kathy Nava. Have already mentioned her. Janine.
Chris.
Souza. Tommy. Thomas Kerneline. Let's see. Debbie Root. Hey, Debbie. I think I got everybody. Chris Gabriello.
Yeah. And Hillary, did you say hi to Hillary?
Hillary, I just saw Hillary. Hillary's name just scrolled onto my screen. Hey, Hillary. Let's see. Doug Beasley. Hey, Doug. Long time no see. Nice to see everybody here. And let's change that to Sarah's off being squished by llamas. Brian Nash asked to come on board for this morning, and so we came in. Hey, Tommy Buck, I see you just popping up. We've got lots of things to cover today, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Guess what, Greg?
What?
There's a question of the week.
Is there a question?
There is. And it's a pretty cool one because it actually affects a couple of our people here this morning because Greg Clark is an adoptee and Brian Nash is an adopter.
Mm-hmm.
See how I turned that?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Let me share my screen here. I haven't gotten anything ready. Share screen. There we go. And we're going to go over to this one. There we go. Is it sharing?
You haven't. There he goes. Now I can see it.
So instead of going through all of the answers, there are tons and tons of answers. Let's see how many answers. The question of the week is, are there adoptions in your family tree? There are in mine. A lot of people may have heard about my cousin Betty Jean. The WikiTree elf, Aowen Langoff, is an adoptee herself. But lots of commentary going on before the questions. But there are 125 questions. Go over, check out the answers. There's lots of really cute, warm, fuzzy stories about adoptions. There's some other stories that aren't quite as fuzzy. And make sure we upvote those questions. Brian didn't get a question in, so we'll let him answer his question of the week here in a minute. But real quickly, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. Let's see. So when we're talking about adoption, finding a birth family can be seriously daunting if you're adopted. Even if you have no paper trail to follow, you can use forensic genealogy and genetic genealogy to find possible connections in your living limbs. And genealogy is the study of family history, and we all know that. We start with a zero generation, and we go back a generation through the lines of this descent over time, and we work our ways back over the generations. And forensic genealogy can help us with that work. Dick Eastman says that forensic genealogists is something other than standard records. So we have records like working with existing documents, marriage licenses, census records, books, journals, city directories. Social media has really come to play a big part in that, as well as DNA. And you have to remember when you're doing these kinds of searches that there is another word and there's an overlap with forensic genealogy. But the word to remember when you're talking about investigative genetic genealogy is that law enforcement searches are involved. And if you're doing your own search or you're working with somebody and you've tested your DNA, because we all share bits and pieces of the same ancestors in our DNA, when we get a DNA test, we have to remember that that information can identify other people in our family, even if they haven't tested. And I'm talking about all of those other people. Why do adoptees and birth families search? Well, for adoptees, it's to try and find their identity, their sense of self, their sense of belonging, to see if they're similar to their birth family, and to find out if there's any medical information. And a lot of the adoptees that I work with want to know the story of the adoption. Why was I given up for adoption? Did they not like me? Was money an issue? What is the story? I want to know the story. For the birth family, it's to know whether or not their child or grandchild or daughter, the son, brother, whoever was adopted out. They want to know if they're okay, and also to notify them if some serious medical condition comes up in the family. But a big reason is to connect. People want to connect, and they want to find out how they connect and get that sense of self and belonging. So if you want to grab a screenshot of this, please feel free to do so. There's 4 types of DNA used in genealogy. I'm going to cover those really quickly, and then we'll go back to real live talking. The DNA different types are autosomal DNA, and that goes back to our 64 fourth great grandparents. X-DNA can go back through the genealogical time frame. Genealogical time frame is defined by the time frame where we actually started showing or using those surnames. Some people say about 1066 because we have the Doomsday Book. People with royal descent can go back further, maybe back to King Harold. But technically, for the rest of us normal people or regular people, if you want to call me regular, that would probably be a stretch. But starting about 1300 to 1500 is when we started using those surnames. So that's a genealogical time frame. Y-DNA can go back for genealogists through that time frame, and mitochondrial DNA as well. We can also use some of these DNA that go back through the genealogical time frame for searches that go back even further, using big Y to find the terminal SNPs for specific families. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. The Scottish Templetons have a very high level subclade that is a part of it. It turns up in Y37 tests, so it's really interesting to work with those. The DNA testing companies that you can work with are Family Tree DNA, Living DNA, Ancestry DNA, MyHeritage DNA, 23andMe, GEDmatch, MitoYDNA.org, Borla Genetics, of course, WikiTree. It's not a DNA database, but it's a database that works with DNA, and your DNA portal. And you can see on there, I've got it listed where, say, Living DNA, Ancestry, and MyHeritage don't actually have tools to work with XDNA. But if you test with them, you do get the XDNA that you can upload to one of the other companies and work with that test. And you can also tell which companies do and don't do Y and mitochondrial DNA as well. So go ahead and take a snapshot of this if you are wanting to start working with adoption. One of the big things with adoption these days is for WikiTree, I have to get back to it, is the WikiTree has a great Adoption Angels project. And a part of the Adoption Angel project, if you look through here, they have a checklist and they have a form for getting information. You can also become an Adoption Angel and help to work. If we go over to the form to fill out for signing up to get help from Adoption Angel, you'll notice that there's lots of great information. There's my email. Don't email me. Just don't, people. But you fill in all sorts of information to get that information of what you know, determine the knowns, and you can submit this information, and a WikiTree Adoption Angel will be in touch with you. There's also a checklist that you can go through from the project. It's on the very first page. and one of these is that DNA testing is now a requirement to get DNA adoption, to get adoption angels help on WikiTree. So they're talking about the fact that Ancestry might be the preferred version of a DNA test, but that's because Ancestry has by far and far ahead of everybody else the biggest database. So you have the biggest possibility of throwing a stone in that pool of DNA testers and finding another DNA tester that matches you. But they also talk about how to do some of the other stuff. So check out the Adoption Angels project on WikiTree, and also go back and check out those great answers that people gave us. What was your answer, Mr. How we got here, whatever genealogy? What is it? I'm so lost.
Well, actually, I'm an adoptive parent. I have 2 adopted children that are half siblings that my wife and I originally had as foster children, and then we took them in and adopted them. So that's my story as far as adoption related within my family tree.
Greg, do you have an incredible story about your adoption, or is it just?
Well, yeah, I feel I've told this story a number of times now, but yeah, I grew up knowing that I was adopted ever since. I grew up on a farm in Ontario, Central Ontario, and was quite happy with my adoptive parents, my aunts and uncles and cousins, and my brother and sister that I grew up with. So I never felt the need to go and find, the family where I came from biologically, because I was quite happy with the family that I had lived with, and I figured there was a good reason, and that was just the way things were supposed to be. But then about 4 years ago, I was at a wedding of one of my first cousins, and one of my other first cousins who sat at the table with me was showing me this app she had. She'd done an ancestry DNA test, and it showed the different ethnicities and whatnot. And then that year was the year I turned 50, and well, it was shortly after I turned 50, because I'm more than 54 now. Anyways, the warranty starts going out on the body, and I thought, well, maybe it would be good to know, just some of the health stuff. Like, I didn't feel like I needed another family, or that I was searching for something that was missing. But I thought, well, if I could just get the health information, that would be helpful. And that's all I really expected. And I was curious to see if my biological makeup would match the adoptive makeup, which is basically half Irish, half Scottish, with some English and some French, a little bit of French in there. So did an ancestry test, and within a week of getting the results, I had an email or a contact from someone who was identified as a first cousin. And so first of all, I didn't expect that at all. And then, so she emailed and, asked if we wanted to share information. And I said, well, I'm adopted, so I don't know anything about my parents. So I don't know how much help I'll be. And then she replied back, oh, well, I'm adopted as well. So I guess it's the blind leading the blind. And as it turns out, one of our parents, each of us have a parent who are like 2 siblings, basically, who had to give up kids for adoption. But that gave me the courage to reach out to someone else on my contact list, who was the next person who was most closest to connected. And it said first to second cousin. And her last name was Douglas. And the only thing I knew about my birth family, I knew that my birth name was Kelly John Douglas. And I don't know when my parents told me that, but that was sort of basically the only piece of information I knew. I knew I was adopted around 2 years old, and that my name had been Kelly John Douglas. And so her last name was Douglas. And I thought, wow, now all of a sudden this was getting real. Like this really is it, there's something here. So I contacted her, and knowing, some of the history of, and how people react, I said, I told her that my birth name was Kelly John Douglas, and I said, if this opens up skeletons in the closet and you don't want to pursue it anymore, then I'm not going to push or anything. But anyways, and just sort of left the ball in her court. And like basically in 10 minutes later, I got an email back. Welcome to the family. Any cousin's a good cousin. Glad to have you. And let's see where you fit. And so she wanted me, to give me dates and places. And the funny thing, she says, first of all, I want to rule out my dad as the dirty dog.
Did she?
She did, yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
It was actually her dad's brother.
She didn't want you as a brother. I would have been offended at that.
But actually, that's because she's a first cousin once from she is first cousins with my biological father, so not quite. So, anyways, yeah. So I actually in Ontario, you can send away for your original birth record and your adoption record. I know there's not all jurisdictions allow that, but
that's true.
I'm lucky that they did, and I mean it took 2 months to get back, and then the letter comes, and like I had to wait for about half an hour to figure out to read it, because I was in the middle of doing I was still working at this time full time, and then I opened it, and it actually had both names, my birth mother and father.
Wow.
And Dwight Douglas, there's the father's name, and there it was. And so then I immediately contacted Darlene, and she said, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly where that fits. And turns out that Dwight had two children, well, 3 children. And so she says, I've got their number and I can phone them. So she did. And so my sister Tracy, she talked to her, and then arranged for, we shared number, and then we talked. And we talked for the first time we talked, it was like over an hour. And
nice.
Then and then we met face to face with my brother. It turns out full brother and sister, because my parents, my mother had just turned 16, like the month before I was born.
Wow.
So they were just way too young. And so, as from a French Canadian family, sent off to the home for unwed mothers, ran by the nuns, and given up for adoption, and then went back. But she and my dad were still romantically involved, and then did get married and had a girl and then a boy. So I met face to face my brother and sister on Family Day, which is an actual holiday here in Ontario.
Are your parents still living?
So I have no living parents, neither my adoptive parents nor my birth parents. I missed my dad by 1 year, basically.
And in the situation that you're describing, I know lots of situations like that. The parents are always glad to find that child.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That is so cool.
Yeah.
And I don't want to color anything with rose-colored glasses. The adoption situation can be very, very scary and fraught with bad reactions and bad stories, but there's always good stories too. And Greg has a really good story. So you actually found out about I thought that you had discovered your adoption story years ago, but it's been recently.
It's been recent. Yeah. So this would be the fourth, I think this is the 3rd anniversary of that Family Day when we met face to face.
How cool. That is so cool, Greg.
Yeah.
That just makes me think so much better of you, because you are a very emotionally level-headed guy, and to have had all of this go on and have you discuss it with us and hear your story makes me realize that you are even more even-keeled. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Thank you. Well, it just worked out. I mean, it just seemed like everything was working out. Neither my brother or sister or my half-sister, because there was another half-sister, none of them have children. And so all of a sudden, that Family Day, I took them up to the farm where I grew up, and they met my brother and sister that I grew up with. So I had all my siblings together.
How
and
cool.
Then for supper that night, my children were there, and they got to meet their aunt and uncle. And they don't have children of their own. So basically my children are their, they're just, well.
That is so cool.
You know what I
And
mean?
I hope to goodness you got some really good pictures from that day.
We do. Yeah, we do.
Holy goodness. That's crazy.
And they came to, all 3 of them were invited and came to my daughter's wedding. So like they're part of the family. It's all one big family.
So cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Have they met the newest baby?
They haven't met because of COVID and stuff. They haven't met the baby yet, but certainly by this summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Greg hasn't got a new baby. He has a new
No,
grandchild.
not me. No. I'm a granddad.
Brian, that is so cool. What brought you and your wife to do adoption and fostering? And I don't want to get into personal information here on you if you don't want to.
It's just, you know, we were married for several years and unable to have children. And we looked at all the other things you could do medically, and we're going to be costly. And we actually just thought, you know, there's kids in the world that need to be adopted. So, you know, after 7 years of marriage, we thought we'd try fostering to see, you know, bringing kids into your an established lifestyle might be hard. And the first little fella we got, we wound up adopting a couple of years later. We actually we wound up getting his half sister as well. We had another foster child in there that wasn't available for adoption, not related, but we actually had to wind up even moving and changing. I changed my whole province that I lived in just so we could the family situation with the children, just to make sure we weren't in the areas. So no, my kids were 2.5 and 5.5 respectively. They've known they're adopted their whole life. So it's really neat. And I was telling you before we started, my son looks very ethnically diverse. We used to joke if he ever got in acting, he would be a bit part Dave, ethnic guy #1 or whatever he'd be credited with. So when when he turned 18, we got him for his birthday a DNA test, and he pretty much literally is ethnically diverse. He's got descendants, ancestors from every continent except Antarctica.
Wow. Well, and if you had Antarctica, we'd be looking for alien DNA or something, right?
That's right.
That is so cool. That is such a great story. Now, Brian, are you going to be available here in just a bit to go through our photos of the week, or
Sure.
Are you up for that?
Sure.
You might want to get that queued up on your computer. Of course, we didn't have time to talk to Brian.
No, we didn't.
I won't be as charming as Sarah, I'm sure, but
no, but I bet you turn to goo if you see a llama.
Well, I've done goat yoga on PI.
Have you really? That's so funny. I'm telling you, Sarah, I bet Sarah's squished right now.
They have beach goats on PI. There's this lady that you can go and she has these goats that run down at the beach, and you can hang out with them. But she does beach yoga as well, so it's kind of neat. I wouldn't want a llama.
Fun. That's fun. Hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Do you have something to tell us about?
Oh yeah. Well,
you know what? Stuff. I brought something this morning.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Well, I've got my Easter basket already too.
We didn't let Brian know he needed to bring
Brian
candy to share. Here, open your mouth, Brian. You ready? There you go.
Yeah. In fact, this is one of the Easter baskets that our kids used when they did the Easter egg hunt in our house, because we always hide Easter eggs all around the house and stuff, and and gave them one of these, and then they go collect them and stuff.
And what happens if you forget one?
Then we find it,
Yeah, at some point later. It starts.
Yeah, it's funny because you find it in a cushion somewhere, and you think, is this still edible?
Yeah, no.
Sometimes they are. Sometimes.
If they're real eggs, they're not.
Oh no, not real eggs. No, these are.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, that would be bad. No, I've got a selection here of some Easter cream eggs.
Wait, don't let it go. Don't let it go. You got to do it as a part of the.
That's right. Okay. Well, let's just. So, and the reason for all this, of course, is that with Easter Sunday coming up tomorrow, the question of the week is, which candy maker are you most closely connected to? And so we have a list of a bunch of them, and even with the Cadbury logo there, isn't that nice? Because the first profile is John Cadbury. There we go. Who was born in Birmingham, Warwickshire, England, son of Richard Tapper Cadbury and Elizabeth Head Cadbury. And he was married twice. Proprietor and founder of Cadbury, the company, and what he's most famous for and what the world thanks him for is developing an emulsification process to make solid chocolate. creating the modern chocolate bar. So if he hadn't made that scientific discovery, we would be without chocolate bars, and the world would be much sadder because of that. So anyways, goes through his census and stuff, but that is basically his contribution in a nutshell, which is a pretty big contribution, since much of everything else relies on that chocolate. So the next profile is Adolf Ferdinand Algreen from Sweden, Visby, Gotland, Sverige, Sweden, son of Peter Fredrik Algreen and Anna Maria Sofia Reusser. Not sure if I pronounced that exactly right, but born in Sweden in 1872 and lived a good age till 1954. He was the youngest son, and you can see this is a nice full profile. It lists all the children, and youngest born in April 1972. He initially developed a chemical for perfumes and medicines and ink, but put it into something called, where is it here? It was shifted production to gelatin and gum Arabic-based confectionery, and there it is. Introduced in a mouth-watering candy called Leckerol, and also a cough drop that had the same taste and name. And developed something called Algren's Bilar, or Algren's Cars, which were marketed and originated in a failed recipe for marshmallows, which is interesting. So I looked on the WikiTree page, and you can see there is the Leckerol. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the Swedish candy is, that the first one that he developed. Sugar-free pastilles or candies, which are main ingredient is gum Arabic. So they're gummy jelly beanie sort of thing. And over here, this picture here, that's the Cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so one of their marketing schemes is that he sold more cars in the world than anyone else. Because I guess if you can mass produce these little bitty things at that point in time,
that's funny.
Outstrip the actual physical cars.
Beat Ford.
Yeah, that's right. So that was his claim to fame. Next, we have Samuelbourne, born in the Ukraine, 1891, passed away at sea in 1959. Born to a Jewish family. And then in 1909, sailed to the US via Liverpool to Philadelphia. And so he founded the Just Born Company, which is a cool name for a company, considering his last name. And his first candy was called Peeps.
No!
Yes.
He's the Peeps guy.
Yeah, see, now that was the one I didn't know. But the other ones that he's famous for are Mike and Ike's and Hot Tamales, and I love those.
I love Hot Tamales.
So on their wiki page, if you click on here, there's Peeps. Marshmallows sold in the United States and Canada. See, and I may have seen those, but we've never had those. But Mike and Ike's, love those as a kid. And Hot Tamales. So that's what he was famous for. So maybe it's time. It's time, Megs, here.
There. Thank you.
Oh, wait a second. Oh, I have to go there. Okay. And here, I'll get another one for you, Brian. Here, have a candy. There we go.
He's got Cadbury cream eggs.
Cadbury cream eggs, yes. Now, they're mini ones, but here we go.
They have a cute commercial here in Canada of the Cadbury cream egg farm.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Where are we here? We are now in Domenico Ghirardelli, or Domingo. Oh, that's interesting. Born in February 21st, 1817, Rapallo, Italy. And before Chris scolds us all, yes, Italy didn't officially become a country unto itself until later in the 1860s, but unified Italy. But often they refer to on WikiTree, the Italian project often puts the current name just to make it a little simpler to find. Anyways, son of Giuseppe Ghirardelli and Maddalena Ferretto. Another thing before Chris comments, Italians often, Italian women almost always kept their maiden name. So we should probably change that. So it just says Maddalena Ferretto. Unless she moved to the States where they did adopt the practice of taking the husband's surname. But anyways, I digress. Working with too many Italian profiles lately, doing my wife's family. Anyways, and he died in the same city he was born in 1894. But he is famous for chocolate and developing chocolate. He apprenticed at a fancy confectionery shop in Genoa, then sailed to Montevideo in Uruguay. So he did leave Italy fairly early on, which was probably where he changed to the more Spanish Domingo name. So he opened a shop selling confections, specializing in chocolate, and then became famous for that. Became a naturalized citizen of the United States. So you might have been misled by the bio that he was born and died in the same place, but no, he actually moved all around during his life. But
when
I
think Ghirardelli, I think of San Francisco.
Yes. Yeah, there's a huge shop there, and I think he appeared in the census in 1880 in Oakland, California. And the Ghirardelli chocolate factory was in San Francisco there, just as you mentioned. And inducted into the Candy Hall of Fame. Excellent.
There's a Candy Hall of Fame?
Well, there had to be. Now, does it say where that is? Anyone know where the Candy Hall of Fame is? I wonder if the clue here. Candy Hall of Fame, click.
You're giving Chris work to do, by the way. He's slinking off to add the Italy project stuff now.
NCSA built in. Doesn't say where it is, where to visit. Okay, someone will have to investigate that. I should go on, or else I'll never finish these and never get.
Nope. Well, you may finish it, but it'll be 2:00 in the afternoon.
Hershey is next. And Hershey, of course, is famous for Hershey chocolates, but he's okay. Where are we here? He set up his own candy shop, but then he ended up closing it down. But he discovered the caramel and how fresh milk could be used to make it. So that was very important. And the caramel company. And so, speaking of caramel, how about you have a look at this caramel? Caramel cake. I love caramels. And then he started the Hershey Chocolate Company. And in fact, an industrial school, the Milton Hershey School, it was renamed, and became the world's largest manufacturer of chocolate. And fittingly enough, he passed away in the town Hershey, Pennsylvania. Next, we have Abel Hoadley from the United Kingdom. Now, that was a name that I was not familiar with. He was an apprentice grocer. He suffered from ill health and decided to take a change of climate, so he went to Australia. And there he settled into selling jams and pickles, and then later produced confectionery. And one of the things he did was produce honeycomb, but because honeycomb stuck to things, he was having trouble, so he decided, well, if I coat it in chocolate, it'll be easier to deal with. And so he developed something called a violet crumble. The crumble was from the idea of the coating of the honeycomb, and the violet, because he wanted to make it a more marketable name, he based it on his wife's favorite flower.
Aww.
Isn't that sweet?
That is adorable.
So there's what honeycomb looks like when it's just sort of on its own, honeycomb toffee or candy. Looks like that, but it is kind of crumbly and sticky to deal with. We all know what chocolate looks like, and there's a violet, in case you weren't sure.
Didn't know what
In case you didn't know what a violet looked like, well, some
And
people.
I'm such a shrinking violet.
Yes, that's right. And then this is what the violet crumble itself looks like.
Nice.
There we go.
Doesn't look very violet, though.
It does not look very violet, no. Maybe the packaging must be violet, my guess is. Then we have Cornelius Jammin from the Netherlands, from Holland, from Boxmeer. That's interesting. One of my roommates in university was a Van Boxmeer. Sorry, I digress. Born in 1850 in the Netherlands, and passed away in 1907 as part of the Deutsches Reich, Degerloch, Stuttgart. And his biography, there's an English version, you'll be happy to know. He started as a street salesman in candy and expanded his business to the candy store chain Jammin, and they owned, at the end of his life, they owned 50 candy stores. So he contributed a lot in that regard. Doesn't say if he invented any specific candies, though. And moving on, we have Heinrich Nestle, born in Deutschland, Frankfurt am Main, Hessen, Deutschland, in 1814. But then he spent a bunch of his life in Switzerland. And again, there's a English biography underneath here. And when he was in Switzerland, which is very French speaking, he changed his name to Henri, and Henri Nestle. So it was more French sounding and fit in better with the Swiss. Bought a small factory, produced several things. And then one of the things that he did was his wife persuaded him to make infant food. And so cow's milk, cereal flour, malt, all of those things together. So basically the powder, the Nestle powder that baby formula is used, or children's flour, quickly became a success. And now it doesn't say anything about the Nestle's chocolate milk. Did you drink Nestle's chocolate milk growing up?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
And strawberry milk.
Did you like the strawberry? I didn't like the strawberry flavor.
I didn't like it, but as a kid, it was sweet, so I drank it.
Yeah, we were excited to see it when it first arrived on the shelves, but it wasn't nearly as good as the original chocolate. Harry Burnett Reese, son of Aquila Asbury Reese and Annie Belinda Manifold, born in 1879 in Muddy Creek Forks, Frosty Hill, York, Pennsylvania, United States. I love that, Muddy Creek Forks. And then died in West Palm Beach. He obviously gravitated to places that had three names. But he is most popular, of course, for the Reese's peanut butter cups. And there's not much else in the biography except some details like stats and stuff. But you know what? After inventing the Reese's peanut butter cup, what more is there to say?
Really?
It's
really.
Perfection. It really
Chris Ferriello apologizes. He says he broke WikiTree. He was editing Domenico's profile, and now the site's not loading for him.
Oh, he's updating the profile. He really did.
Yeah, he did.
That's hilarious.
Oh, he says it's fixed now.
Okay.
But he apologizes that he broke it.
He broke it. So I should go back, and if I reload it.
We're looking at you. We're checking
your
work,
Look at the changes in action. Wow. Way to go, Chris.
Now everybody's going to want to know what extension you've got going up there with all those.
Oh, Sarah and I spent a long time last week going about this. This is the WikiTree B extension.
The WikiTree what?
B-E-E.
I need to go and discover that.
Yeah, Ian.
Obviously, I didn't watch last week.
You didn't watch because we
sorry.
got diverted like a good 10 minutes or so as I went in. I showed how to add the extension and the different thing. But like one of the cool things he's added is like quick access to some of the other apps. Like if you click on this, it'll open up my fan chart for Domingo Ghirardelli, and there it goes. And so I really shouldn't have clicked that, but I'll just go on. Anyways, there's fun things in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kellogg's Pop Tarts. Are you going to talk about Kellogg?
I don't know. He wasn't one of the ones. here.
Oh, okay. That
I guess it doesn't.
Tom Tyner says he loves Pop-Tarts.
I love Pop-Tarts too.
I don't.
Well, I love them. They were never allowed on the farm. We had like porridge or cornflakes.
Yeah, we never. My mom never. We never had KD. We didn't have Pop-Tarts.
But you know what? The one exception we had, we were allowed Sunday cereal, and like all that sugary stuff, we called it Sunday cereal because you could have it on Sunday mornings. You could have sugar crisps or frosted flakes or honeycomb, stuff like that. But that was the only. So, yeah, when I first started going with my wife and I talked about Sunday cereal, she looked at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Sunday, well, for us, my dad would make waffles. Although my mom says that she's the one that always made them, but Dad just took the credit.
Took the credit.
Jennifer says that they just had mush.
Mush.
Mush is good.
Mush is good. Yeah, is it good mush? Okay, time for another candy. Here's a dairy milk.
Oh, Eric, thank you.
Okay. Brian, do you want an Easter cream egg?
Just drop one on him.
There we go. Sorry if I hit you in the head. Mary Wiseman, daughter of John Wiseman, wife of Charles Alexander C., developed recipes and became the foundation of the See's candy business. And this is a Canadian from Howe Island, Ontario, Canada. Born in 1854, died in 1939 in Gananoque, Ontario. Oh, wait a second. I thought my dog just grabbed that candy that dropped on the floor. No, it was something else he was moving for. Sorry. They had 12 shops by the mid 1920s and operated 30 shops during the Great Depression. That's quite a feat, keeping 30 shops alive. Her date of birth is far from certain. Well, isn't that true for lots of that? But yeah, so a good Canadian entry here. But you know, the Canadian who's not in the list, and I meant to look her up and get her profile there, is Laura Secord. Have you heard of Laura Secord chocolates? Yeah. I don't know if they're a thing in the States, but in Canada, Laura Secord. They're not. No. Laura Secord is famous for her chocolates, and there used to be stores, actual Laura Secord stores. I don't think they exist anymore, where you could just buy the chocolates, but they're really, really quite good. Which made me wonder if See's is related to, because a Laura Secord box of chocolates looks a lot like that. But anyways, she was also a hero in the War of 1812.
Yes.
Which means a hero for us probably means not a hero for the American folks, which might mean that might have colored their love of her chocolates. Anyways, and so there's a picture of the See's candy store in Hong Kong. Wow. So
Greg, I'm gonna jump in here really quick.
Yep. Okay.
This is Sarah trying to feed one of the llamas. She's been sending me pictures of llamas during the whole live cast.
Oh my goodness. Breaking news.
Here's a picture of a goat on her mat. Isn't that hilarious?
Oh my Lord.
And they shaved the llama to make it look lighter, so when it crawled on her, she didn't think she had a big weight. But that's pretty cute. So, okay, back to you.
Oh, that is hilarious. Well, thank you for the late breaking news. That's very good. Okay. Well, let's go on to our last person was Isaac van Mel, from Breskens, Zeeland, Netherlands. Born in 1877, died in 1954. And he has a totally German or Dutch biography. But luckily, I have a translating program here, and I can say that he's the founder of the Van Mel's biscuit and toffee factories in Rotterdam. He starts a small factory for producing confectionery in Breskens, diagonally opposite his father's bakery. Here, you can follow along the German as I read the English translation. At the end of the Second World War, the Van Mel factory in Breskens was destroyed in a bombing raid. And after the war, the Van Mel family is given the opportunity to build a new factory in Rotterdam. On the 22nd of November, 1950, the fish factory is officially opened. So that is the last one of our profiles. So Thank
I
you.
want to let you know that Tom's Kernline
Yes.
has since he started talking about Kellogg's, has been talking about Kellogg's in the chat ever since.
Oh my goodness.
So I want to make sure that we shout out to Thomas that he's definitely talking Kellogg's.
Excellent. Kellogg Man.
Brian, do you want to do the photos?
I want to mention you missed my favorite Canadian candy maker, William Church Moyer from Moyer's Chocolates.
Oh, okay. Yes.
My grandmother worked for them during World War II.
Wow.
My dad used to tell me my grandmother was a boxer, but he never explained what okay, so let's.
You need to help with the sharing there?
No, I'm good. So just 1 second. And just have to pick my right screen. So is it up there?
Not yet. Oh, I gotcha. There you go.
There we go. So
you may want to zoom a little bit so the pictures are bigger.
Oh, you're getting fussy.
Nothing
now.
like throwing a visitor co-host into the fire.
That's right.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
There we go. Excellent.
Are your eyes that bad, Meg? So this week's photo subject was Easter.
Of course.
Of course. So this is an Easter photo from 1950 of her husband's Uncle Bill Hopper. So very
Oklahoma, where the
very traditional looking Easter outfit that she has on.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Alexis.
And this one I really liked.
Oh, that's sweet.
Sarah would be all over that.
Yeah, the little bunny. So this is from Pat Miller.
Nice, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it was her with her Easter bunny. It's I really just the everything about the picture looks just awesome. So this is New England. So
an egg tree.
An egg tree. We never did egg trees here, but
they do them here.
Yeah, I've seen them in different places.
Yeah.
But never did them. We just did the normal hiding the Easter chocolates. In our family, we do the going on Monday and getting the discount chocolate.
Yes, yeah. Have you seen the funny commercial where the dad goes out, hides the chocolate, then goes out and starts eating the chocolate, and the kids are looking at him from the window going, "Dad, stop! Dad, stop!" Oh, Brian,
yeah,
for you.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like Thomas had just mentioned a little while ago, he saw my banjo. So there we go. This is don't celebrate Easter, but this is around the same time period. And this is her husband, but the same time of year. I do play the banjo, and this was taken about 7 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah. Always good to have a nice banjo picture. Okay. Now this one, see, now I have to make my screen smaller. See what
Easter bunny. I saw a funny post yesterday. Scary Easter bunnies from the past. And all the children in their lap crying.
I always like watching those, and the Santa ones you get around Christmas too.
Yeah. The baby's just bawling.
So this is from John Thompson. And this is their daughter. So
nice. Somebody with an Easter corsage.
Yes. This is from, does it say 1944? And this is from Florence Wright.
Nice.
And it's her mother. More bunnies.
More bunnies.
More bunnies.
So this was taken in 1959 in Liesen district in Segeberg, Schleswig, Holstein.
Good job.
Nice. Very nice.
I took 1 year of German in university, so.
My animal of choice as a baby was a bunny. It played, you could wind it up and it played Brahms Lullaby.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I have it. I should bring it next week
Mm,
because
I
we're
was
not
all
going
about
to
the
be here
monkeys.
next week.
no.
And there's an Easter dress. This is who is it? This is Brianna Miller when she was visiting her grandmother's house in Easter 2006. So not that long ago.
No.
It's a very traditional Easterish dress. And this is the only family that Betsy has of her grandparents, her mother and aunt.
Yay, Betsy! Love your photos.
Yeah, so this looks like it's from a newspaper. Awesome. Yeah, people did get dressed up quite a bit to go out to church back, especially Easter.
Yeah, Easter was always the time to get dressed up. Twins.
Are they
No.
twins?
No.
Yeah. So this is from 1985, 1986 from Putnam County, Tennessee.
Janine's kids.
Oh, nice.
My dad, Vic Hills, in the Easter of April 1963 in Ingleton, Yorkshire, England.
Nice. But who is the son?
It's Christine Frost.
Oh, good. The daughter.
I was looking for the waterfalls, but they said he was there to see them. But I guess there's not a picture of the waterfalls, just him. It caught me for a minute. I was trying to see did I miss something? And that looks like it's it. There's only 11, so.
Yeah, Janine's correcting us. They weren't twins.
They weren't. They were 2 years, 4 months apart. How many days, Janine? You got to get that right.
No.
2 years, 4 months. How many hours, minutes? So next week, there's some stuff going on. I'm going to take down that. I'm going to reshare mine. Wait, let me make sure I got the right screen up.
I see something purple. Oh.
Yeah, got to be careful not to show any more llama pictures. So this week, Olympian Derek Para for the WikiTree Challenge. How about that? Week 8 was author CJ Cherrill. And the question is, have you registered for the ConnectUp yet? I think that is it closed yet for the? I have to look and see.
I think it usually stays open till the Wednesday
I think you
before.
can still register. So if you haven't registered, go and register for
Monday,
which is going on all weekend, which means that we won't have a regular live cast. So you'll be checking out the live cast for the Athon. I am going to be at a conference. I am flying to Baltimore Friday morning. And I'm supposed to be in live casts for the ConnectUp on Friday, but that's going to be problematic, Greg. You're going to be alone at 12.
Oh, am I?
Because I'm going to be on a plane still. I'm going to be waiting for my plane, so I'll try and go in at 8. Yes. At 12, I literally will just be arriving at Dulles and going for my rental car, and the 4 o'clock is questionable, so I put that all on this thing. So all weekend long, they're going to be having the regular Athon chat, so check those out. And there was something else in there. Oh, and there's been some changes. Notice the gender related changes and the dissent page changes. There's a nice post about that. Go and upvote that or downvote it, whatever you'd like to do.
What is the Descendant change? I couldn't see what the Descendant page.
They completed an integration of Descendant pages into profile pages. This is something we started a couple of years ago, and we added a Descendants button to the Descendants page. And what they've done is they've transitioned it, so now it's all done. And the Descendant pages have been removed, and all the previous functionality have been changed. So you can go to, it still appears in the pull-down menus and on those buttons on your profile pages. Let's see. We should have gone to Chris's. Let's see. Let's go to Chris Ferriello. That's his. Here we go.
There we go. Okay.
So Anne says, we don't. So he doesn't have any descendants.
Oh, okay.
So we can only go to. Let's go to one of his. There we go. So ancestors and then the descendants button, and it'll give you this information with a little more information as well. But notice how it appears on the actual profile now.
I see.
That's
Okay.
pretty cool, eh?
Did you mean he has no descendants that he knows of?
No, shh. We don't talk about that. We'll you know.
We don't
So
talk
that's
about
cool.
that.
So check out that stuff. Check out the challenge with Olympian Derek Para or Para with Mindy coming up. So, woo!
Yeah,
I can't believe we finished in time.
we did. Yeah. And any Canadians out there who haven't already signed up for Team Canada, do that. That's the team I'm joining this year. Chris, I know Chris. I alternate between Team Canada and Team Italy. And when I'm on Team Italy, I do work on my wife's side of the family, do those profiles. But
Yeah.
this is a Canadian side. This is a Canadian-a-thon for me. So go Team Canada.
That night in Vegas. Well, we appreciate it, Aaron. Come back and see us again in 2 weeks. I think I'll be here in 2 weeks. Greg may not be here in 2 weeks. Somebody's not going to be here.
That's the 30th. No, I have to play for a funeral.
Yeah, so those people had to keep on dying. We gotta get that to stop. So have a great week, and we will see you at the a-thon. Oh, there's a private chat. Oh, that's from Brian. And I'm going to pull up the brand here, and we'll play ourselves out. Have a great
week, everyone.
everybody.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.